The Department of Homeland Security has made an arrest of a wanted terrorist. This is someone who is wanted on terrorism charges for being a member of a terrorist organization. He's accused of distributing terrorist propaganda, calling for jihad, as well as recruiting terrorists to join in jihad. He's from Uzbekistan. The Department of Homeland Security arrested him just a few days ago in Kansas. Now, this individual entered the United States illegally in February of 2023. We know that was a problem under the Biden administration. People that were wanted for terrorism, that were on watch lists, were able to cross the southern border and then sneak away into the country. He was apprehended by Border Control and then released by the Biden administration back into America. Not only that, he's later granted work authorization by the Biden administration. And then in Pennsylvania, he is granted a commercial driver's license by the government of Pennsylvania. So this man, a wanted terrorist from Uzbekistan, enters America illegally, is released, and then is able to work as a commercial truck driver, crossing the country, a critical part of the United States infrastructure, because of the failures of the Biden administration. He was arrested by ICE on November 9th while driving a truck. But this isn't just an isolated story about one person wanted on terrorism charges that was able to fool people and get a commercial driver's license. We're seeing a crisis within the truck driving industry. When Biden was in office, they tried to go so far against what the strong border protection that was put in place from 2016 to 2020 and had all these strong reversals. So it's a problem of our leaders doing in many cases. Yes, these individuals are coming here not legally, breaking the rules, but they're also being allowed to do it because they are able to get a government-issued commercial driver's license. They're able to be released by the Border Patrol in 2023 when this individual, if they had done any sort of background check after he was picked up by Border Patrol, he would not have been released into the interior of the United States. He was wanted by Uzbekistan for terrorism. So this is not just something that which the president and the administration has done a great job. Border crossings are at record lows. But isn't, as we see as well, that it's just border closed and then the people that are being deported that are here that are criminally illegal, and the problem is fixed. This has found its way into areas of our society that we would never even think of. When you are driving down the interstate with your family and you see a semi truck beside you, 40 tons of steel in cargo, in diesel, you're not thinking to yourself, the license that individual has to drive that very awesome and impressive piece of machinery, he shouldn't have. It was issued by the state of California, which their restrictions weren't what they should be. That person driving that machine is wanted for terrorism. That's not how this should work. And I'm glad that Secretary Duffy is on this and that he is looking at ways to do this. But also the American people need to know about this. This is not something that should be kept under wraps because we know the failed policies of the previous administration got us here. And we have to make sure we course correct. California just announced they are having to cancel 17,000 commercial driver's licenses that were issued to people that now are no longer still authorized to be here. Let that sink in. California, the sanctuary state of sanctuary states, is having to cancel 17,000 commercial driver's licenses. And there is a lot more ahead with Secretary Sean Duffy, who is working hard to get this problem under control when you see that there are people that are not authorized to be in the United States that have authorization to drive America's trucks, the backbone of this country, critical infrastructure. There's also a crisis of these CDL mills where looser state regulations allow for people to get CDLs that aren't necessarily meeting the requirements. I should not be able to go out and drive an 18-wheeler right now. I understand that there is training, that it is difficult. It is a very large, important piece of machinery that moves America. I understand that if I wanted to go do that, I need to go train, learn, and get certified and get that commercial driver's licenses. And there is a lot of responsibility that would go with that. But yet there are people trying to cut corners. And so you see these CDL mills, and you see people in California that are, or in states that are a lot more loose about getting people jobs that are not authorized to work here. And this is a crisis. And I think that Secretary Duffy is doing the right thing, but we also have to expose what's going on. This is not just happening overnight. This has been, as our caller George said, something that the truck drivers have been talking about for a decade. You take that another step further. You've seen all the hard work that the Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, was having to deal with during the shutdown, keeping planes in the air, making sure that people were safe in America's skies. Well, they also were shifting and proposed a new rule because of this crisis on the requirements to get commercial driver's licenses, CDLs. A federal appeals court in Washington, D.C. blocked that rule, saying, one, they didn't quite go through the procedural process that was necessary. Two, they failed to make their case that these restrictions that were aimed at keeping illegal immigrants from getting commercial driver's licenses statistically would keep people more safe. That's the argument of the court here. Then the administration failed to make the argument that restricting illegal immigrants' access to commercial driver's license would keep Americans safe. It's absurd.